What if I told you that what you do in the 10 minutes before you close your eyes tonight could be the single most powerful thing you do all day for your heart? Not your medication, not your morning walk, not the salad you had for lunch, the 10 minutes right before sleep. I know that sounds almost too simple to be true, and I understand if you're skeptical, but stay with me, because what I'm about to share with you is grounded in real science, and it has the potential to change the numbers you see on that blood pressure monitor. Those stubborn numbers that won't seem to budge no matter what you try. I'm Dr. Robert Hayes. I've been practicing medicine for nearly 28 years, with a particular focus on cardiovascular health and hypertension management. And in all those years, in all those patient conversations, there is one question I hear more than almost any other. Dr. Hayes, is there anything I can do on my own, naturally, to help bring these numbers down? And the answer, the real, honest, science-backed answer, is yes. There absolutely is. And tonight, I'm going to walk you through exactly what that looks like. Now, before we get into the list, and I do have a very specific list for you today, I need to make sure you understand something about blood pressure and sleep that most people completely miss. Because once you understand this, everything else is going to make a lot more sense. Here's the thing. Your blood pressure is not a fixed number. It rises and falls throughout the day following a very precise rhythm, almost like the tides of the ocean. During the day, when you're active, under stress, drinking coffee, sitting in traffic, your pressure goes up. That's normal and expected. But here's what's supposed to happen at night. As you drift off to sleep, your cardiovascular system is designed to shift into recovery mode. Blood pressure should naturally drop by somewhere between 10 and 20% while you sleep. Doctors have a name for this. We call it nocturnal dipping, and it is one of the most important and most underappreciated phenomena in all of cardiovascular medicine. Picture this. While you are sleeping, your arteries are supposed to get a vacation, a real, honest-to-goodness rest from the pressure they endure all day long. Your heart slows down. Your blood vessels relax. The system takes a breath. That nightly dip is your cardiovascular system doing its own maintenance work, repairing, recovering, resetting. And studies consistently show that people who experience healthy nocturnal dipping have significantly lower risks of heart attack, stroke, and long-term organ damage compared to those whose blood pressure stays elevated through the night. Now here's the problem. Millions of people are what we call non-dippers. Their blood pressure never fully comes down at night. It stays elevated. Their arteries never get that break. And morning after morning, they wake up with numbers that are already too high before the day even begins. And the worst part? Most of them have no idea it's happening. In nearly 3 decades of practice, I have sat across from patients who were doing everything right during the day, taking their medication, watching their sodium, exercising, and still struggling with dangerous blood pressure readings. And when we looked deeper, the problem was happening at night. The nighttime recovery was broken. So today I want to give you back that recovery. I've put together a list of the 5 most powerful pre-sleep habits I know. Habits that are designed to activate your body's natural pressure-lowering mechanisms, trigger that nocturnal dip, and let your cardiovascular system do the healing work it was built to do. Every single one of them can be done tonight. Every single one of them is free. And every single one of them has real science behind it. If this is the kind of information you've been looking for, do me a favor right now. Hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you never miss a video. Because I put out new content every week on exactly these kinds of topics, and you don't want to miss what's coming next. Now, before we get to number 1, and trust me, number 1 is something you are going to want to hear, Let me start with the ones that most people haven't even considered, because sometimes the biggest problems are hiding right in plain sight. Let's talk about what's actually going on inside your body at night. Think of your nervous system like a light switch with two settings. There's the go setting, the sympathetic nervous system, your fight-or-flight mode. This is the one that floods your body with adrenaline and cortisol, raises your heart rate, constricts your blood vessels, and sends your blood pressure climbing. And then there's the rest setting, the parasympathetic nervous system, your rest and digest mode. This is the one that slows everything down, opens up the blood vessels, and allows your pressure to fall. For your blood pressure to dip properly at night, your body needs to make a clean, complete switch from go to rest. And the habits I'm about to share with you are specifically designed to make that switch happen as efficiently and as deeply as possible. Every single item on this list attacks the problem from a different angle. Together they create something more powerful than any one of them alone. All right, let's get into it. Habit number 4. And this one surprises people every single time I bring it up. I want you to think about your bedroom temperature and your evening screen habits. Now I know what you're thinking. Dr. Hayes, I've heard this before. Put the phone down before bed. And yes, that's part of it. But the reason why goes much deeper than you probably realize, and it connects directly to your blood pressure in a way that most people don't understand. Here's the myth I want to bust right out of the gate. Most people think that checking their phone, watching a little late-night TV, or scrolling through the news before bed is just a harmless habit. A little way to wind down. But here is what's really happening inside your body when you do that. Think of your nervous system like a fire that needs to burn down before you go to sleep. Every notification, every news headline, every argument in the comment section is adding another log to that fire. Your brain doesn't know the difference between a stressful video on a screen and a real threat in the room. It responds the same way, by flooding your bloodstream with cortisol and norepinephrine. Those are the very hormones that constrict your blood vessels and drive your blood pressure up. And here is what the science tells us. Cortisol and blood pressure are intimately linked at night. Research has shown that the natural decline in cortisol from daytime to nighttime is one of the key drivers of healthy nocturnal blood pressure dipping. When cortisol doesn't drop at night, when it stays elevated because your brain is still processing stimulation, your blood pressure doesn't drop either. The dip never happens, but here's what's really going on behind the scenes. Blue light from screens suppresses the production of melatonin, your sleep hormone. And melatonin, it turns out, is not just about helping you fall asleep. Research now suggests it may actually function as a natural blood pressure-lowering agent. Less melatonin means less of a protective drop in your nighttime pressure numbers. That's a double hit to your cardiovascular system. Cortisol stays high, melatonin stays low, and your blood pressure never gets the chance to come down. So what do we do about it? First, commit to a hard stop on screens at least 45 minutes before you want to be asleep. Not 10 minutes, not 20 minutes, 45. Second, replace the screen with something that genuinely calms your nervous system. A physical book, soft music, a brief journaling session where you write down 3 things you're grateful for. That last one in particular has been shown to lower cortisol and shift brain activity away from the stress regions. Third, check the temperature of your bedroom. Studies show the ideal sleeping environment for blood pressure is cool, somewhere around 65 to 68 degrees Fahrenheit. A cool room helps your core body temperature drop, which is another signal to your nervous system that it's time to shift from go to rest. And fourth, consider dimming the lights in your entire home at least an hour before bed. Not just turning off screens, actually dimming the ambient light around you. This supports melatonin production and begins to gently ease the hormonal transition toward sleep. Fifth, put your phone on Do Not Disturb and leave it outside the bedroom entirely if you can. The physical separation matters. Write this down. A calm evening creates a quiet cardiovascular night. All right, moving on to habit number 3, and this one is controversial, because it's something that millions of people consider a normal, harmless, even health-conscious part of their evening routine. And yet the science is remarkably clear about what it does to blood pressure. I'm talking about alcohol. Now, here is the myth, and I hear this one constantly, from patients, from friends, from people at dinner parties. Dr. Hayes, I just have 1 glass of red wine at night. It's supposed to be good for the heart, right? And I have to be very careful and very honest with them. Because the idea that alcohol, even 1 glass, supports cardiovascular health in the context of blood pressure is one of the most damaging half-truths in popular medicine. Here is what's actually happening. Think of alcohol like a false friend to your cardiovascular system. In the short term, in the first hour or 2 after you drink, alcohol does cause some blood vessel dilation. Blood vessels widen. Pressure drops slightly. You feel relaxed. Your body feels warm. And that initial relaxation can feel wonderful, especially after a stressful day. But then comes the second act. And the second act is the one your doctor never sees, because it happens while you're asleep. 3 to 4 hours after you drink, even 1 glass, your body metabolizes the alcohol. And during that metabolic process, your sympathetic nervous system, your fight-or-flight system, gets activated. Your heart rate increases, your blood vessels constrict, and your blood pressure, which should be falling, instead begins to rise. Studies have shown that even modest alcohol consumption is associated with disrupted sleep architecture, meaning less deep, restorative sleep, and measurably blunted nocturnal blood pressure dipping. Your arteries never get that recovery window, and you wake up the next morning with pressure that was elevated through most of the night, feeling unrested and wondering why. What is happening here on a deeper level is that alcohol interferes with your autonomic nervous system's ability to complete the handoff from sympathetic to parasympathetic control during sleep. That handoff is everything when it comes to your nighttime blood pressure behavior. Here is what I tell my patients. If managing your blood pressure is a genuine priority, and I suspect it is since you're watching this video, the most powerful thing you can do in this department is remove alcohol from your evenings entirely. Or at minimum, move any drinking to earlier in the day, at least 3 to 4 hours before sleep. I know that's not what some of you want to hear, but I've watched this single change move blood pressure numbers in patients who couldn't budge them with anything else. The science is not ambiguous on this one. For those evenings when you want something to drink that actually helps rather than harms, try tart cherry juice. Research suggests it contains natural compounds that can support melatonin production and mild blood pressure reduction. Or warm chamomile tea, which has been shown to gently reduce cortisol and promote parasympathetic activity. Or simply water, with a squeeze of lemon and a tiny pinch of sea salt. No sodium overload, just gentle hydration support that helps your blood vessels function optimally through the night. Write this down. What you drink in the evening determines what your heart does while you sleep. Now we move to habit number 2. And I want to be straightforward with you. This is the most underestimated enemy on this entire list. Not because it's exotic, not because it's complicated, but because it is invisible. Because it happens in silence, in the dark, while you're completely unaware. I am talking about the absence of a proper wind-down routine, what I like to call the cortisol ambush. Most people go from full speed to bed with almost no transition. They finish a stressful day, eat dinner, maybe watch something intense on television, check their emails one more time at 10 p.m., and then just lie down and try to sleep. And they wonder why sleep doesn't come easily. They wonder why they wake up tired. They wonder why their blood pressure is still elevated in the morning, even after a full night in bed. The answer is that they handed their nervous system the impossible task of switching from maximum gear to complete rest with no ramp-down period whatsoever. That is not how your cardiovascular system works. And the price you pay for that ambush is measured directly in blood pressure points. Here is the mechanism that most people don't know about. Your cortisol, the stress hormone that drives blood pressure up, follows a natural curve throughout the day. It peaks in the morning, gradually falls through the afternoon, and is supposed to reach its lowest point around midnight. That natural decline is one of the key triggers that allows your blood pressure to dip appropriately during sleep. But when you keep your brain and body in a stimulated, activated state right up until the moment you try to sleep, you flatten that cortisol curve. You prevent the natural decline. And a body with elevated evening cortisol is a body whose blood pressure will not dip properly. Think of it like trying to stop a freight train that's running at full speed. You can't just hit the brakes at the station and expect it to stop in time. You have to begin slowing down miles ahead. Your nervous system works the same way. The transition from wakefulness to restorative sleep requires time, intention, and the right conditions. So here is the solution. First, create a non-negotiable buffer zone of at least 30 to 45 minutes before your intended sleep time, where no work, no news, no confrontational content, and no screens are allowed. Second, use that window to engage in genuinely calming activities. Gentle stretching, soft music, reading something peaceful, or light conversation with someone you love. Third, try a brief body scan practice. Lie down, close your eyes, and slowly move your awareness from the top of your head down to your feet, consciously releasing tension in each muscle group as you go. This has a measurable effect on the sympathetic nervous system. Fourth, consider writing down a short worry list. 3 things that are on your mind that you're going to handle tomorrow. Studies show that externalizing worries by writing them down reduces nighttime rumination and, with it, the cortisol levels that fuel blood pressure elevation during sleep. Fifth, keep your wind-down routine consistent every single night, including weekends. Your body loves rhythm. When it can predict when rest is coming, it begins preparing the hormonal environment for healthy sleep and healthy blood pressure dipping before you even climb into bed. Write this down. The 30 minutes before sleep are not wasted time. They are the most important minutes of your cardiovascular day. And now, the one you've been waiting for. Habit number 1. The most powerful pre-sleep intervention for blood pressure that I have found in nearly 28 years of practice. And I want you to take a breath before I tell you this, because it is something so simple, so free, so available to every single person watching this video that it almost seems too easy to be real. I need you to hear what I'm about to say, not just listen to it. Really hear it. The number 1 thing you can do in the 10 minutes before sleep to lower your blood pressure is diaphragmatic breathing. Done correctly, intentionally, and consistently. I know. You expected a supplement, or a new device, or a complicated protocol. But in nearly 28 years of medicine, I can tell you with absolute certainty that nothing I have come across is more directly, more immediately, and more powerfully connected to the nighttime blood pressure dipping process than 10 minutes of slow, deep diaphragmatic breathing before sleep. And I am going to tell you exactly why. Let me walk you through what's happening inside your body when you breathe slowly and deeply. And I mean really walk you through it, because Understanding this mechanism is what turns this from a vague wellness tip into a genuine clinical tool. Your diaphragm, that large dome-shaped muscle beneath your lungs, is physically intertwined with one of the most important nerves in your entire body. It's called the vagus nerve. I call it the superhighway of calm. The vagus nerve runs from your brainstem all the way down through your chest and abdomen, and it literally passes through the diaphragm on its way. It touches your heart, your lungs, your blood vessels. 80% of the signals running through the vagus nerve travel upward from your organs to your brain, telling your brain what's happening in your body right now. And when you breathe slowly and deeply, when your diaphragm fully contracts and descends with each breath, you are physically massaging the vagus nerve. You are activating it. And when the vagus nerve gets activated, your parasympathetic nervous system, your rest and digest system, takes over. The fire hose of adrenaline gets turned down. The blood vessels relax. The heart rate slows. And blood pressure drops. This is not a metaphor. This is physiology. And the research backs it up powerfully. Studies at major research institutions have shown that slow diaphragmatic breathing can reduce plasma norepinephrine. That's your primary stress hormone, by meaningful amounts. It improves something called heart rate variability, which is a direct measure of how well your cardiovascular system can adapt and recover. And slow breathing done at around 6 breaths per minute has been shown to trigger what researchers call baroreflex enhancement, which is essentially your body's natural internal blood pressure regulation system getting recalibrated and strengthened in real time. Picture this. There is a dam inside your cardiovascular system, a biological dam that regulates pressure. When you're stressed, when cortisol is high, when your sympathetic nervous system is running the show, that dam starts to crack. Slow breathing is the repair crew. It shows up, strengthens the dam, and brings everything back under control. And there's more. Nasal breathing during slow diaphragmatic breaths triggers the production of nitric oxide in your nasal passages, a natural vasodilator that opens up blood vessels and allows blood to flow more freely with less resistance. Less resistance means lower pressure. Think of nitric oxide as your body's internal plumbing lubricant. It keeps everything flowing, smooth, and open. Here is the exact technique I recommend to my own patients. Lie down or sit in a comfortable, supported position. Place one hand on your chest and one on your belly, just above your navel. Now, breathe in slowly through your nose for a count of 4. Feel the hand on your belly rise. That means your diaphragm is doing the work, not your chest. Hold gently at the top for just a moment. Then exhale slowly through slightly pursed lips for a count of 6 to 8. The extended exhale is crucial. It is during the exhale that vagal activation is strongest. It is during the exhale that parasympathetic dominance deepens. That long, slow out-breath is the biological signal your body has been waiting for all day. It is safe to rest. It is safe to let go. The pressure can come down now. Do 10 cycles of this. Just 10. That's roughly 8 to 10 minutes. Research on breathing and blood pressure is clear. Even a single session of slow-paced breathing at 6 breaths per minute can produce immediate, measurable reductions in blood pressure. And when you do this consistently, night after night, you are not just getting a short-term benefit. You are literally retraining your autonomic nervous system. You are teaching your body to be better at switching from go to rest. Wolves, you are rebuilding the physiological infrastructure for healthy nocturnal dipping. Over time, studies suggest that consistent breathwork practice can lead to sustained reductions in both resting blood pressure and nighttime pressure profiles. This is cardioprotective medicine, and it is available to you right now, tonight, for free. Write this down. 10 breaths before sleep is 10 minutes of medicine your heart has been waiting for. Now let me bring all of this together into one master plan that you can start tonight. Because I know this has been a lot to take in. And I want to acknowledge that. If you have high blood pressure, or if someone you love does, these numbers carry real weight. They represent real worry, real fear about the future. And I want you to know that I see that. I take it seriously. Every single one of my patients who has sat across from me with elevated numbers has carried something in their eyes, a mix of anxiety and hope. And it is that hope that I want to leave you with today. Here is the genuinely good news, folks. You are not powerless here. The science gives us real reason for optimism. The behaviors that drive nighttime blood pressure down are behaviors you already have the ability to do. You don't need a prescription. You don't need expensive equipment. You don't need to overhaul your entire life. You need 10 intentional minutes, a consistent commitment, and the knowledge of what your body actually needs in the hours before sleep. Here is your 5-step bedtime blood pressure protocol starting tonight. Step 1. Begin shutting down screens and stimulating content at least 45 minutes before your intended sleep time. Give your nervous system the ramp down it needs. Step 2. Cut off all alcohol for the evening, ideally at least 3 to 4 hours before bed. Replace it with chamomile tea, tart cherry juice, or simple warm water. Step 3. Build a 20 to 30-minute wind-down window with intentionally calming activity. Gentle stretching, soft music, light reading, or writing in a brief journal. This is your cortisol-clearing window. Step 4. Keep your bedroom cool, around 65 to 68 degrees. Dark, quiet, and free of screens. Make it a sanctuary for recovery. And Step 5. In the last 10 minutes before sleep, do your breathing. 10 slow, deep diaphragmatic breaths. In through the nose for 4. Out through pursed lips for 6 to 8. Feel the belly rise. Let the body know it is safe to let go. Do this every night, not occasionally. Every night. Because your blood pressure is a daily habit, not a one-time event. And the overnight hours are not passive time. They are some of the most active and important hours your cardiovascular system will ever have. I want to close by telling you something that I believe deeply after nearly 3 decades in this field. High blood pressure is often called the silent killer, and it earned that name honestly, because it works quietly, invisibly, without pain or obvious warning, doing damage to your heart, your kidneys, your brain, over years and decades. But here is what is equally true. The tools that fight it are also quiet. They don't come in dramatic packages. They come in the form of 10 minutes before bed, a changed habit, a slower breath, a cooler room, a cup of tea instead of a glass of wine. Small, consistent choices that accumulate over days and weeks into something genuinely powerful. Your heart doesn't need a miracle. It needs consistency. It needs you to show up for it night after night, with intention. And when you do, when you give your cardiovascular system the conditions it needs to recover properly overnight, those numbers will start to move. Slowly, steadily, measurably. Not because of magic, but because of biology. Because that is exactly what your body is designed to do when you give it the right environment. We have covered a lot of ground today, and I'm genuinely glad you stayed with me through all of it. We talked about the nocturnal dip, that critical nightly drop in blood pressure that your heart depends on for recovery. We talked about how screens and cortisol steal that recovery window from you. We talked about the real truth about evening alcohol and what it does while you sleep.